Watch.
Everyone deserves to be remembered. It's really important to be able to give closure to family and friends. And my investigation team is determined to do that, to give that individual their identity back. The British Transport Police is responsible for 6 million passenger journeys per day. 400,000 tonnes of freight move through the railway environment and covers 10,000 miles of tracks. And we are the guardians of those individuals using the railway, whether it's the stations, the car parks, and anyone obviously within the trains and on the trains. The railway is generally a very safe place. We deal with some petty, minor incidents, bad behaviour, low-level assaults, those types of things. But we also have to deal with quite serious incidents and accidents, and unfortunately, sometimes we have to deal with people who've taken their own lives on the railway. In the majority of cases, we can identify those individuals who've passed away. We still have a small number of cases where we haven't been able to identify the individuals. This is stretched over decades, and despite our best efforts and numerous techniques that we've tried, we still haven't been able to identify them. And it's really crucial that we do keep trying to make sure that they do have a name. A young man we're keen to find out more about was found near to Haywards Heath railway station on Friday the 26th of July, 1991. He was 19 to 25 years of age, 5'9" in height, of slim, proportionate build, probably weighing about 12 stone. He had dark, curly hair, and he was wearing quite distinctive clothing. That included a blue denim jacket, blue denim jeans, some brown suede walking shoes or boots, and then he had very distinct a blue child's-like rucksack which had Mickey Mouse motifs on the inside. And then there was a packet of cigarettes, cool cigarettes, which are not normally sold in the UK. Various other items including a brown wallet containing £50 worth of cash, a Woolwich Building Society pen, and a tourist map of London. And he was also had a blue and red waterproof jacket, as if to use for maybe hiking or walking. He had in his possession, he had an Iowa personal stereo, playing Beverly Craven, a famous singer in the 1990s. Thursday the 25th of July 1991, we have a sighting of the male in conversation with someone, we believe it may have been in French. He's made his way a couple of miles north from Haywards Heath into a more countryside location. He's gained access to the railway land via a fence, so he's just near the railway tracks, where unfortunately he's taken his own life. This man was unidentified, and there was no family, no loved ones have come forward. Lots of work went into it, lots of good investigation work to try and find the identity of him. Unfortunately, we haven't managed to identify him. We've had extensive appeals twice now in relation to this. And, you know, he still remains unidentified, 32 years later. But very kindly, the funeral directors chose, out of their own money, to erect a tombstone and make us a small message on that tombstone, so that he didn't go unidentified completely. I am interested in finding out who he is, and anyone that knew him. It is incredibly sad being here. No one's visited him for 32 years. It's really important that we try and get some closure for the loved ones of this young man, and I'm determined to do that.
Such vital work, and if you need support or help about any of the subjects covered in that film, you can head to bbc.co.uk/actionline. I'm now with Detective Superintendent Sam Blackburn from the British Transport Police, who you saw in the film there. Thank you so much for coming into the studio this morning, Sam. That was an incredibly moving portrayal of that young man, and you just get a sense of how determined you are to provide some answers as to what happened to him. For anybody that's watching and thinking, you know, this happened years ago, it's just a stab in the dark, what would you say to them?
Well, firstly, it's a tragedy that anyone can die alone without their family or friends knowing their whereabouts. And that's what we want to change. We want to bring closure to that story. You know, I must reiterate to the viewers, there's nothing suspicious about any of these incidents, but we are now living in an age where we can share information so widely. We've done some extensive work in relation to the forensic artist impressions that you can see on our websites. And it's really imperative now we close this story off and we somehow put a name to those individuals. That's the purpose.
That is, isn't it? And that's why you're here this morning. There are some other males that we really need the public's help to identify. They all lost their lives between 1991 and 2005 on the rail network. We're going to cover some of them. But let's go back to the young man that we heard about in the film. He was found in the summer of 1991 at the Ouse Valley Viaduct in Balcombe, West Sussex. We have an artist's impression. We can see that on the screen there. Just remind us what he was found with, Sam.
See, that's the most distinct thing about him, I guess, is those personal possessions he had. He had his personal stereo, those 2 Beverly Craven tapes, but he also had the Cool cigarettes, which aren't a common brand in the UK, but you could buy them in the UK. And probably most importantly, I think, is the rucksack that you saw depicted. You know, this is a very distinct rucksack, a blue rucksack with Mickey Mouse motifs on the inside. I'm asking those viewers, do you remember anyone 32 years ago who may have had that type of bag? He had other items, he had some cash on him, he also had that tourist map of the UK, of London. So, was he visiting London recently? And maybe he was even a foreign national who's come to the country as a tourist. So, yeah, some distinct things that I do hope the viewers may be able to latch on, even though it's 32 years ago.
Absolutely, some significant things there, as you say. What has been done to date to try and identify him?
You saw the old image there, that we've got new images now, but we've done extensive media inquiries. We've done new forensic techniques as they've changed over the years and become more sophisticated. We have DNA and fingerprints of many of these individuals. So we will be able to eliminate through familial processes, if given those names, if given that opportunity. You know, the work we've done with the NCA, Missing Persons Unit, trawling through thousands of names, trying to find these individuals. It's still really important to me and my cold case review team that we find these names for these individuals and give that closure.
Yeah, it really is. We're going to talk about another man now, aren't we? What can you tell us about this person?
Yeah, so the next one we do was in Southend. He's a black man. He's 65 years old, about 5'9", 5'10" in height, of average build. But what's very distinctive about him is his very large, bushy, grey beard. He came to me on the tracks in the morning of November 2000. He was partially undressed. He was wearing jeans and a belt and some scruffy Tommy Hilfiger trainers. But I say he was undressed. There were 2 oilskin jackets, wax-proof jackets, nearby to him, which probably suggests that he was suffering from a medical episode, so maybe hypothermia or something. And as I say, he's very distinct. We think he was probably from the local homeless community.
OK.
But we just need a name.
And some people saw him the evening that he died, didn't they?
That's right. The day before he died, he was seen at 11:30 in the morning around that location of Southend Station, and staff at 11:30 in the night, the day before we found him, obviously took him off the railway station for his own safety as they were locking up. But that was the last sighting.
He was staggering that night, wasn't he? And you think he might have been staggering because he was ill? That might help with the identity of the person.
Yeah, I think the fact that he has undressed is probably synonymous with hypothermia rather than drink or drugs. There was very little drink or drugs found in his system, so we think it was more of a medical episode that was why he was staggering.
Let's go to the final man that we're going to talk about this morning. He was found at Erith Station in Bexley. What can you tell us about this male?
Yeah, again, we have very little information, but the great forensic work that Claudia Pitcher's done, the forensics artists we've used, has kind of really brought him to life. You know, he's a white male, late 40s, so now would be in his 70s. Distinct-wise, he's thin, 5'9" again in height, but he's got long black hair, unshaven. But I think, again, it's the items that he had on him here. He had a key fob, which was a bear, and also a Casio digital kind of wristwatch. It's these things that we're probably asking, you know, 1998, you know, but we really want people to think back and say, does he look familiar? And did anyone have a bear key fob that I knew? We'll do the rest. We'll be able to eliminate people from there.
So for people watching this morning, what are you hoping for today? Anything that might spark a memory?
Exactly that. It's jogging those memories. We've got the techniques and the tools available to us. We just need the names. Yeah. It's a long time ago. You know, it ranges 30-odd years. And these individuals, some of them will be in mid-80s now. So it's about closing off that family branch or that tree, you know, give a name to that individual. Let's close this story now. Let's give them that name, put it back on that tombstone where it belongs.
Sam, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming in. If you can help at all, the numbers are on the screen now. It would be great to know who these men are, so as Sam said, they can get their identity back.